Hello YouTube, it is Atticus. How's everybody doing? I am back with you with a Dark Elf game. So yeah, we are fighting the Empire today. So yeah, this one's a really cool one, and it's on one of my favorite maps. I love the snowy, watery thing. I think it looks so cool. So yeah, this is a really cool game. Let's go ahead and jump into builds, guys, and I will show you how it goes. So for my lord, we have a Dreadlord, sword and crossbow with a cold one. So yeah, I'm going pretty cheap on my lord. I just want to have some armor piercing ranged and some armor piercing melee if my opponent tries to goon me. So yeah, the Dreadlord's pretty sufficient in this matchup. It allows me to go a lot wider, and against the Empire, that's one of the train of thoughts, one of the avenues in which you could beat him. You could try going a really powerful lord like a Malekith on a dragon and try to, goon him that way, have supremacy through a more powerful lord, or you could go kind of cheap and try to match him with the numbers, which is what I'm doing. Also, we have a front line mixed of Black Orc Corsairs, we have some Bleak Swords, and we have one Sisters of Slaughter anchoring our middle. Also, the real killing power of our army is we have 3 bolt throwers, guys. So we have 1 over here, and we have 2 on this side. And yeah, these guys are going to be going for cavalry. They're going to be trying to get artillery, and so on. And in reserve, we have 2 dread spears protecting those bolt throwers, and a dread spear protecting this bolt thrower. Also, we have a cold one chariot, which is going to be really good. It's a good counter to outriders, pistoliers, and things like that. And we also have an assassin here in Deep Vanguard, which is going to be trying to bait out some artillery. I find the assassin is really good for having your opponent waste ammunition since he has such a small hitbox. And lastly, we have some harpies in the back just for shutting down artillery. So for my opponent's build, guys, we have for a lord, looks like a Boris Codbanger. So yeah, up on this horse, he should have all his debuffs. So yeah, he has the minus... he has the healing, and then he has the minus melee defense, melee attack, and leadership. So it's a weaker version of what Marathi has. But still, having a cheap lord who can heal, it's pretty powerful, especially if you put him in with a cavalry. Also, guys, we have a Jade Wizard for what spells Earth Blood, Regrowth, and Stone Flesh. So, yeah, pretty cool. And then last but not least, we have a Warrior Priest here. See if he took all his abilities, which he did. So, and he also has the fire damage aura, which he will give any units around him fire. So that's really powerful against things like Hydras and things that are weak to fire. So right off the bat, as Brightburn said to Kal-El, Superman, yeah, we're going to just start trying to use our artillery advantage. So we're going to start moving up the bolt throwers. I'm going to start prioritizing his demigryphs. Oh, I forgot to mention his army units, what he actually had. He has a front line of flagellants, swordsmen. We have a couple swordsmen. We have the Sons of Sigmar right here, so a couple unbreakable units. We have an Empire Knights, some more spearmen, swordsmen. So there's a lot of like shaft units minus these unbreakable units. You already mentioned his lords. We have the Royal Altdorf Griffites. We have another unit of demigryphs. So yeah, pretty powerful combinations. Now let's go ahead and get into it, guys. So like I said, we're going to start using our artillery advantage. You see my assassin's going to be able to get a little early damage, trying to just proc and prod, trying to, lure out his cavalry, and you can see the bolt throwers going to start opening up on these Empire Knights since the demigryphs were not in range. But, yeah, you can see the demis are going to start getting hit, and, yeah, those guys cost a lot of money. If we get them removed off the map, it will really pay for us. And I only have 1 anti-large cav, I forgot to mention. I have 1 cold one knight, so I'm really kind of outnumbered when it comes to all the cavalry. You can see, guys, we're doing some pretty good damage. I mean, these demigryphs have already taken some damage. You can see he's running a little goon squad with the Warrior Priest, Boris, and, yeah, I mean, that's a pretty powerful combination. You can see that my chariot's also going to be getting a little ranged power, and look how quickly we're melting these guys. So, yeah, I really like the bolt thrower build in this matchup. Over here, you can see his Empire Knights are going to get into the... my assassin, but it's keeping them in place, allowing me to do some damage. And I also forgot to mention, guys, I did have a Dark Rider repeater crossbow. They were kind of hiding in the forest here in Vanguard. But yeah, like I was saying, the assassin is surrounded, but it's keeping these guys still, and it's allowing my bolt throwers to do a lot of damage for him. You can see that he is going to get into my... my chariot, but yeah, like I said, I'm just trying to hold him in place. He's kind of using these as expendable units, and this will allow me to be able to do some damage. You can see my Cold One Knights are going to come to reinforce. I'm using some Bleak Swords just to lock him in place, and yeah, I'm going to have some Overwatch from my Dreadlord who will be able to fire, and we're just trying to focus the demis. You can see that my opponent is going to pull away. He is going to get a Nerf Blood, but yeah, you can see he's coming a little bit dangerously towards my Artillery Priest, and I do have some Dread Spears here in reserve, and yeah. Over here, guys, it's going to slow it down. You can see our front lines are colliding. And yeah, I have a superior infantry, so my opponent really needs to make up the value by winning the cavalry fight. You can see these Black Orc Corsairs are perfectly suited for dealing with flagellants. The Sisters of the Slaughter, he really doesn't have a good answer to. Like, he really needs to get some psycho charging from those Empire Knights. He does have a scary pocket right here, so he could try to rear me through attrition. He has more numbers than me. But you can see we are going to be able to shut down his mortar. We use our Harpies, and that's the age-old mistake. You do some spears in the back. These guys are small. They're not anything large, so they're not going to take a lot of damage. Balance of power is smack dab in the middle. Let's go ahead and speed it back up. You can see my Cold One Knights are just trying to hit these guys as they kind of retreat, and my opponent doesn't know what to do. You know, I mean, he's kind of in a. You got to keep in mind he's also fighting in this water, which is slowing their charges and it's slowing their movement, which is making it a lot easier for my bolt throwers to shoot. Unfortunately, my opponent's on the other side of the map, which is giving my bolt throwers here no line of sight. So I'm having to move these an excruciating low, and that sucks. That's a lot of money to be, wasting not to be able to shoot. Fortunately, I do have one bolt thrower right here who will be able to open up, and you can see between the Cold One Knights, the Chariots, my Dreadlord, and now these repeater crossbows, we are wearing them down. You can see my opponent is using a regrowth on his demi-griffs. He's using the buffs of the warrior piece, but yeah, we're keeping them grouped together, so it's pretty much guaranteed damage. You can see that he does break my Cold One Knights really quickly, so I'm going to pull away my Dreadlord. I don't want to get him caught out of position, and thankfully, my repeater crossbow is going to be open now. So now I got him in a pincher, on two overlapping fields of fire. He's getting hit from the back here with the repeater crossbows. He's getting hit by two of these bolt throwers. You can see I have some spear units coming to reinforce, and it's looking really good for us, guys. You can see I'm starting to get a balance of power lead. Here in the infantry fight, as I said, we just have superior troops. You can see we are breaking through his troops. My guys are still relatively good health, and we're going to be able to get into his shaft units. And look, these flagellants are one-on-one against these Black Orc Corsairs, and look how much, better the Corsairs are. I mean, that kind of just gives you a good, measure of how powerful they are. Over here, the Empire Knights did get a charge into these bleak swords, but he needs to be focusing the Sisters of Slaughter, because these ladies are the most dangerous threat to my opponent. You can see that these spearmen, he does have a full life unit of spearmen, but yeah, he just has so many things hitting him from every different angle. These repeater crossbows have been doing a lot of damage. You can see we've dropped his Royal Outdoor Gryphites to almost, they're almost extinct. Now we're going to use our Cold One Chariot just to charge and hold him in place. And it's just allowing my units to keep firing. That's all I'm doing. I'm just trying to glob them up. You can see the spear units are going to get into place as well. And yeah, this Dreadlord is also getting his range in, and you can see we're going to break one unit of demi-griffs, and we're going to break the Royal Outdoor Gryphites. Even though my opponent does get an Earthblood, that's the power of having three bolt throwers, guys, repeater crossbows, and a Dreadlord of armor-piercing range. You can see even with all the buffs, the healing spells, the warrior priests, we're able to break them. You can see the assassin is in the fold now. He's going to be trying to focus the wizard since it is the weakest. You can see his little goon squad does get into my Dreadlord, so I need to kind of be careful. But the bolt throwers are going to start opening up on him, and I will pull him away. You can see I do have some spearmen who are going to come intercept these guys. And yeah, keep in mind the assassin's doing 800 something damage, and these bolt throwers are just crushing my opponent. Here in the infantry, we've pretty much won it. You see, he does have a pretty large amount of numbers, but this is a slaughter to be able to take at least 3 of those units pretty, effectively. You can see that his spearmen right here, his Empire Knights are going to break. Because really, at this point, he's trying to win the infantry, what I'm trying to say, the hero fight, his leadership fight. His Jade Priest is just getting targeted by my Assassin, who's doing that 800-something damage. We are going to be able to break him. You see that my Dreadlord is getting a cool little overarching arc. And yeah, we're just trying to focus his Jade Wizard. I figured let's kill him first. He's the weakest. Let's keep it from healing, and things will be really good. You can see he is fighting on top of this one bolt thrower, so it's not going to be able to really fire. But I still have this one right here, who is obstructed. I have a spear unit in reserve, and I still have this one about, halfway health. Pretty shortly, I will open them up onto the infantry here, since there's no sense trying to hit his lord, since they're all grouped up. I'm going to change them to multi-shot, and I'll be able to start hitting his infantry corps. You can see that these spearmen are really highly outnumbered, but my opponent's fighting to the death. Balance of power is not army losses like you would think. Like, he really is fighting pretty long. But yeah, he's just outclassed. These Sigmar Sons are going to beat these Bleak Swords, but once these Sisters of Slaughter get into the fold, it's going to be GG. You can see that, we've worn down his warrior priest to about half health. You can see the multi-shot of the bolt thrower is going to start opening up, and we're going to get some really good shots into these Sigmar Sons. You can see we're going to break his remaining spear units, and it's going to be an army losses and a win for the Druki. So, bolt throwers, bolt throwers, bolt throwers. That was the key to my success. You can see that the Sigmar Suns here are just refusing to die. We have 32 models. I wish CA would patch that, because it's just really annoying having to kill the last couple models, but thankfully my opponent will leave. So let's go ahead and look at the in-screen breakdown and talk about some of the keys for my success. And yeah, the bolt thrower build, guys. I've done it. It's probably been, what, 30 videos ago when I did this, but yeah, I mean, it's a niche pick. It's, you know, it's a surprise pick, but yeah, if your opponent doesn't expect it, and especially if you use it on the right kind of map. On this map, there's a lot of water, which is going to slow his cav, which will mean it'll be a lot easier for me to hit. So yeah, I mean, that's another tip I'd give you guys is look what map you're fighting. You know, build your army according to the map. Pay attention. You know, if you're going to be fighting on a water map, well, then take advantage of artillery. If you're going to be playing in a forest map, well, then don't bring as much range, and so on. So, yeah, those bolt throwers definitely helped me out. The superior infantry, Black Orc Corsairs. I mean, look how many kills the Sisters of Slaughter's had. So, my opponent, he had a really powerful build here. He was really banking on his cavalry, because he had 3 units that were going to be buffing those guys up. But luckily, we had a counter to it. So once you go a little powerful Death Star, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units, it means you have to go kind of cheap on his infantry corps, which will allow the Dark Elves to actually just run through you. So, and his mortar didn't get any value because we used the Harpy to ambush it in the back. So, alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I still have one more a game with Luca. I know I've been saying it. I just wanted to get my 4 or 5 games of Dark Elves. You know, I always do like 5 in a row, and then I'll do his game. And then I had a request for from General Eisenhorn, I think it is, for some Dark Elf versus Lizard game. So I'll get one of those up too. So, all right, guys, it's Atticus. I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye now.